Indeed, doubt is evident in our world today. Doubt is real in our church today. As we begin to question, God, where are you? Why are you allowing these things to happen, especially with recent legal findings and behaviors in our country? Well, doubt is the face of this faithless generation. Yet in the face of faithlessness, Jesus came in this situation, as we read in Mark chapter 9. Jesus came to this father who was dealing with the evil spirit in his son. He came to the father and felt his loneliness. He felt the father's anxiety and anguish, and he felt the father's disappointment. And as he felt those things, Jesus went one-on-one, head-on, and faced the powers of darkness that were encroaching and impeding on this young man's life. And as he cast out that evil spirit, he frustrated all attempts of Satan to rule this young man's life. And just shortly thereafter, Jesus did the same thing. Jesus felt the loneliness of all of his disciples scattering when he was arrested in the garden. He felt the anxiety and the anguish of what it really meant to be hanging on that cross alone. Ele, Ele, lama sabachthani, my God, why have you forsaken me? And that anxiety and the anguish just broke his heart. And indeed, a sense of disappointment. The heaviness of the sins of all the world hanging upon him. And in that moment, he faced the powers of darkness. He stared at Satan right in the eye and said, "It is finished." And through his death and subsequent resurrection 3 days later, he frustrated all attempts of Satan, that his hold no longer has itself on us. So Jesus experiences it with us today as he deals with a faithless generation of believers, of Christ followers, that sometimes where doubt encroaches. He feels the loneliness, the anxiety, the anguish, the disappointment. And he faces the powers of darkness for us, stares at them right in the eye, and causes them to flee. And it's where, in that moment, where he frustrates all attempts of Satan to grab hold of us and pull us off to the side, where now we continue to be claimed as his own. But it's also in those moments where your and my humanity is exposed for what it is. And it's where in that moment, as we are exposed in all of our humanity and frailty and failure, that we need to experience a willingness to rely on another. We need to rely on the one who has the power, the one who has the ability to take on Satan and cast him aside. We indeed need to be like the Father. And we indeed need to speak that prayer of faith. Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief. It's a word that opens your eyes and my eyes to our lack of faith at times. And it's also a word that enables us to hand over to the one in whose hands we can be assured. We can be assured that Satan will not be able to control us. In fact, that we will be assured that God's goodness will wash over us. And then it's in that prayer of faith that we, you and I, can act according to the promised intentions of God for our lives. I will never leave you nor forsake you, For I will be with you always to the very end of the age. And then we can act, you and I can act to receive what God has prepared for us to do as the church. Indeed, there are going to be times like the disciples we're going to fail. But there are going to be many times that we are going to succeed because of Christ living in us, through us, among us, and from us to draw people to himself. As we receive what God has prepared for us to do, this world will know that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. Now that's take two.